17, that we give ourselves a bit more of power, with the exception of Senator Moses Wetangula, who's a party leader. I don't see anyone else who's a party leader here. But it is increasingly becoming clear that if you're a legislator elected on a political party, if it gets to a point where you disagree, sometimes out of good principle and out of values that clash between what the party leader is pursuing and the people that you represent, you serve at a very precarious position. So therefore, we need to find a common ground discussion where Parliament is insulated, sort of, from the whims of politics that is sometimes not very useful to the business of this House. How, for example, Mr. Speaker, do you expect a member of a political party to oversight the executive if any form of criticism against a government policy is considered disrespect to the party leader? And that is something that in these days I see the majority and the minority side struggle. It is not time that we criticize each other, Mr. Speaker, because I have seen on many occasions members cast their votes without even debating, because they know deep down they don't believe the things that their parties are asking them to do. And all of us have been victims of all those. So now that we have gone beyond the face of finger pointing and saying, oh, you have done this, we've done this, can we have a honest conversation as legislators? How is it that we shall ensure that our responsibility, as enshrined under Article 96 of our Constitution, that you are able to legislate, you are able to oversight the executive, and you are able to represent your people without having to look back? Party leaders should learn the habit of realizing that when you move around in a county, you do not have a mechanism for which you can establish, say, for Senator Irungu Kangata, perhaps, how many people voted for Jubilee as a party and supported him and not the president, or the president and not him. It's not easy to measure. And it is a wrong assumption to believe that since somebody is going for a higher seat, then all of us benefited out of his influence in certain regions. It's a very serious and candid conversation which I want to believe that in the next few days, perhaps Justice and Legal Affairs Committee needs to lead us, so that even when it comes to the matter of determining parliamentary party leadership, we are in the days of BBI. I don't know whether it will live to see the light of the day, but should it live to see the light of the day, Mr. Speaker, and become a reality, where we become a House of 94 members, say for Senate, for example, Mr. Speaker, you may find that there will be fragments of small parties that have 20, 15, 30 membership. How will we determine leadership positions? How will we determine committee chairmanship? Yet you know that in the two houses of parliament that have existed post the current constitution, Mr. Speaker, it has been simple because we've always had a contest between two coalitions, sort of. But when you get to a point where there will be 3 or 4 more coalitions, even deciding House leadership will become something quite chaotic. And therefore, I propose, Mr. Speaker, that let us, as members of parliament, party leaders don't legislate in this House. How can we legislate and give them power for them to abuse the way it is being abused in this current session of parliament? Let us give ourselves that power, so that we sit here, you converse, you talk to your colleagues. If they believe that you warrant to be their majority whip, deputy whip, majority leader, and any other position, chairman of a parliamentary committee, they will grant you that position. So that this business of people sitting at a particular hotel and determining. You know, I watched yesterday in bewilderment as the Secretary General of Jubilee saying we have decided. And you wonder, parliamentary leadership is a decision of I, as a member of Jubilee Party. It is us as a coalition who sit as members elected in this House and decide who becomes. By the way, as way of democracy, we have no problem. When you later on table the documents as has been requested by Leader of Majority Kipchumba Murkomen, then we will get to know who supported, who did not support. That is democracy, Mr. Speaker. But what I find to be an insult to us as leaders, and it's something that we have allowed to be perpetuated for long, is this issue where a small group of mandarins sit somewhere and just read out a press conference and say, from today, Senator Mutula Kilonzo ceases to be this or that. It's very unfortunate. So I plead with my colleagues that at some point, let us have this candid discussion about how do we ensure that we as members of parliament determine leadership in this House without the intricacies of party leadership. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, those who are following, try to keep it brief so that it's just a communication. Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Thank you, Speaker. Of course, we can't get into the details of what happened on the other side because we don't participate. Only that, of course, we congratulate Kimani Wamatangi, Senator Kiambu, for his new position. I'm happy because now he's going to be in the House more often. He's going to suffer the woes of mobilizing members to vote for bills, like we did for his when he used to run away. So now you feel the pain of sitting here to get 24. For Kangata, he became a doctor while he was a whip. He became a CBS while he's a whip. He has left. I don't know, maybe I should advise Kimani Wamatangi to carry the name tag on his door in his pocket as opposed to at the door. But the things that both Senator Cheruyot and Senator Chumba Murkomen have raised, we raised them here. When the amendment to the Political Parties Act was done by Senator Kiraitu Murungi, then seated where the majority leader is seated, I thought from Legal Affairs Committee that there was a problem with the way the merger was done. And of course I was opposed. One of the people who opposed was Senator, who told me to drop that amendment because I had proposed an amendment, was Senator of Mombasa at the time. He told me, why don't you allow Jubilee to merge? Because this is the only way that you will break Jubilee. Now, at that time it was meant sarcastically. Right now, one of the governors is suffering out of the Security Laws Amendment Bill, which we opposed, in terms of just detention unnecessarily for too long. So whilst you are feeling the pain of some of the decisions that have been made, it's just advised that some of the things that we raise on the floor, even if we are for the minority side, and you can see how stable we are. You were laughing at us at some point. You can see how stable we are. It's not like we don't have our share of problems, but we know how to manage them. So please don't write letters or speak candidly to the press. Just find a way of how you handle your political party affairs in a better fashion. I don't think there is a way that Senator Cheruyot is suggesting that political parties can be managed on the floor of the Senate. It is just not possible. Now, in other jurisdictions, in fact, the minute you vote against your political party decision, you are deemed to have defected. We are even better off, where you can disagree with your political party, form a political party within your political party, wear a t-shirt of another political party, and exist in that political party without defecting. It's only in Kenya where people can do that and walk around and say, well, I have the liberty to do so. We have abused the political party's rights of being in a political party under Article 38. Because if you disagree with your political party and ideals and your party leaders, it's also democracy to leave. But you can't be in both. You're in, you're out, you're in the middle, you are doing pamoja, you're in a wheelbarrow. It can't happen. It's just not possible. And it's not legal, and it's not moral, and it's not godly. Thank you.
Senator Linturi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I don't think Senator Mutula is being very honest because he's giving examples to us which, in my view, are not really relevant at the time. Then in developed democracies, I would agree with him. The development of democracy in Kenya is still evolving. The aspect of political parties and the place that they're supposed to sit in the development of our country's political system and democracy is completely different. And that's why I don't really want to agree with him. Because, Mr. Speaker, we've adopted a cut and paste kind of system when we are making legislations without really understanding that some of those issues that we pick from certain countries may not be able to fit in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I want to give an example. When we came up with the Political Parties Act, Senator Mutula, the Act of 2011, because I've been around long enough as a member of parliament when we passed that legislation. And I remember very well section, I think 24 or 25, where we came up with the aspect of funding of political parties. We said political parties will be funded from the exchequer, from public funds. And the reasoning was we want them to run away from that old system where KANU or political parties belonged to individuals. So we said they will be funded from public coffers so that they can be owned by all the citizens. And we would expect the leaders of political parties to be more civilized than they are today, because they have taken that advantage of the trust that we earned in them to completely make these political parties as tools of dictatorship. And this is why we are suffering. And Mr. Speaker, if we do not rise up as a parliament and raise these issues and see how we can inform changes to certain legislations, then parliamentary democracy is attacked. The oversight role of parliament is under attack, because even Mr. Speaker, when the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act was passed, was to enable us to speak out our mind here, criticize government, say anything with when you have that immunity, so that at least you do not watch over your shoulder when you are discussing matters or contributing on matters that relate to issues that pertain to the public. This is not happening, Mr. Speaker, because now members of parliament are afraid of raising issues, because the next day the agencies of oppression that are being used by the current system of government is KRI, is the DCI, is the EACC. So members are not free. And if we do not, Mr. Speaker, see how to address these issues, we have a problem as a parliament. And time has come when we must rise up to the new realities of life and understand that, yes, it is true, we are Democrats. I attended that meeting that we were talking about yesterday. The person who was trying to lecture us is a Secretary General who serves at the MBS of the President. We are not subject, we do not serve at the pleasure of the President as senators. We recognize the leadership of the Senate as a leadership of the Senate that is supposed to be put in place by the senators. But when someone do what we've never seen, a chairman of a party, a Secretary General, who does not even, first of all, address the issues that we have raised before. And we conduct a meeting, Mr. Speaker, and why it's necessary for you to ask to table the documents that were sent here. And we find ourselves to be 24 in the room. And when we are 24, 10 of the members are saying, no, we are not signing the resolution. We don't agree with it. And then we are told, a list was brought here. How could you have been signing a resolution in a meeting that you never attended? Mr. Speaker, let us, Parliament is supposed to act or to be seen to be open. And one of the ways of trying to open Parliament to the public is by the way what we did when Marenda was Speaker, and made sure that all proceedings were done live and were public would attend. So in this case, Mr. Speaker, kindly let us know who came here, who attended, who signed these documents for purposes of record. I think when history is being written, then people will know. Some of us saying the truth, and despite the oppression and the threats and the intimidation and the blackmail, there are people that can stand up by the truth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wetangula.
Mr. Speaker, we're living in very interesting times. When you see the majority leader, the distinguished senator for West Pokot, sitting quietly there, is out of experience. He once walked to Parliament, attended sittings, and the next day, he was not a member of Parliament. Out of a PG. Him and my great late friend, Francis Loile Polisi Lotodo, were just labeled as carrying out warlike activities without evidence, and they were dismissed from Parliament. We've come a long way, Mr. Speaker, and today, the political landscape of Kenya is a helter-skelter. It's like the Tower of Babel in the Bible. Nobody hands over what he's been asked to hand over. You ask for a spade, you give a brick. You asked for sand, you give cement. And it's going on and on and on. It is only in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, where people are elected on a party, take a totally different trajectory, and enjoy the perks of that party. And nothing happens. You know, if we do not have party discipline in this country, we can as well say bye to democracy. Love him or hate him, when Raila Odinga disagreed with Michael Wamalwa Kijana in the party I lead, Ford Kenya, he reconsidered his position, resigned, and went back to Kibra, then called Langata, and sought a new mandate with a party called, was it LDP or NDP? NDP. Today, Mr. Speaker, we don't have any single politician in this country with that courage. People want to enjoy the comfort of the day and the night at the same time. It can't work, and it will not work. So I want to urge you members, tomorrow, my good friend Senator Murkomen, you will be a party leader. In fact, I can see you are really struggling to be the heir apparent to Ruto's position in the community. And when you get there, just know that discipline, said Shakespeare, is the key to everything. Even robbers must be disciplined to succeed. If they are not, they will not succeed. And I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, I want us to take a new curve in the management of political affairs in this country. It's only in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, where you coalesce together as parties. The Constitution provides for a fund for parties, and one dominant party takes the money and tells the others, when WIPA asks for its money, Ford Kenya asks, and ANC asks, an upstart young man in the party tells us that our parties are ticks, leeches, and parasites. Mr. Speaker, that our parties are ticks, leeches, and parasites on the back of their party. That is the height of infamy, Mr. Speaker. And it is tolerated. So I want, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate Senator Omatangi. I believe that his new position will give him a reasonably enhanced level of tolerance to debate in the House, because he's been previously one of those, whenever you talk about government, he behaves as if he's being electrocuted. You know, he's just busy jumping, you know. But now, Mr. Speaker, he's taken a position of responsibility, and I have no doubt that he's a well-schooled man and will adjust to the circumstances. To my friend Kangata, now you have time to laugh in the corridors as loudly as loudly as you can, without carrying anybody's responsibility on the floor of this House. And Mr. Speaker, as I finish, on a serious note, if we do not instill discipline and decorum in our parties, we can as well say bye-bye to multi-party democracy. If we don't, the pretense that because you belong to a different party, therefore there's democracy, is a fallacious. Let's have discipline. Let's have candor. Let's have commitment. Let's have respect, self-respect and respect for the public, and respect for institutions. And above all, let the leaderships of parties also respect and uphold freedom of expression as enshrined in the Constitution. Thank you.
Senator Bogisho.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by thanking those who have spoken on this matter and to thank the House for the messages of encouragement that have come to this House about how we should all be disciplined and how we should uphold democracy. And those who have ears to hear, let them hear. And Mr. Speaker, let me just use this opportunity to congratulate the new Majority Whip on behalf of our side. Congratulations, Senator of Kiambu, Senator Matangi. You are now responsible for making sure that the House is in order and that the fact that members on our side and the other sides, you work together to be sure that we can put together order in this House. Speaker, Senator Kangata, who is leaving, came to the leadership with me the same day. And as somebody has said the other day, somebody was saying yesterday, Mr. Speaker, to Kangata, that now that Kangata is gone, even anybody else, in Swahili they say, if you see somebody being shaved, even your own begin to put water on your hair. Mr. Speaker, it's all about how we are trained, and I think that we are all trained differently. I have experience in these matters, as you have heard, Mr. Speaker. I have withstood the storm of politics many times, and therefore I'm ready. I was thinking yesterday Kangata should have listened to himself and allowed himself to think, but he was misled by a group of people and into thinking that there is security in these things, Mr. Speaker. When he was asked by the party to come and talk, Mr. Speaker, as you know, he then was misled again not to go to the party. And so these are some of the things which I say, you must also weigh, if you're going to mislead somebody, that you know you have caused their problems. Mr. Kangata, Dr. Kangata, as we know him, Speaker, did his job well. And I tell you, until recently, he did his job for this side very well. And so I want to congratulate him as well and wish him well. The good thing about this leadership is that if you are elected, you are actually not going anywhere. You are still the senator for a place. And so I don't think it should really be like a downgrade to come back as a backbencher. It is okay. I just want him to understand that he can still work on the same side, keeping the same courage that he has, and continue to say the things that he wanted to say, only that he will not now be able to lead in this side. Our new man in the block now, the new guy on the block, or the new whip, is also a very seasoned politician. We know him, and he represents a very large community. And so he knows, and he comes from this area generally, including this city. It's very well established in this city. But the thing that we have spoken to him about, how to bring people together, I'm sure he's very vast with that. So on behalf of the leadership, Mr. Speaker, the Jubilee leadership and also the minority leadership, we want to welcome Honorable Matangi on board and say we will give our best support to him and encourage him. He's going to be running. You'll just come straight away to work from. He has already started work today. In fact, he should find his rightful seat and begin to occupy it, so that he begins work immediately. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to encourage members that we all have our interests. We work together across the aisle. We must just begin to see how we bring order in this House. Let's respect each other. Mostly, let's try and respect our chair, the Speaker, and each other during debates. And I think that we can actually show that this Senate is a higher house, upper house in this country. I want to thank you, and God bless.
Senator Rose Nyamunga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity just to add 1 or 2 comments on it. First of all, we must appreciate the fact that we are here courtesy of our different parties that have given us opportunity to serve in this house for a certain time, of whether you are elected directly or elected by the party, like some of us. Mr. Speaker, I believe that there are institutions, and all institutions must have their rules that guide them and regulations. Mr. Speaker, even in the smallest unit, which is the family, and taking mine as an example, my family is an institution, and it is run by rules and regulations. There are sometimes some things you cannot do in my house because you'll be told, Mama alisema, meaning there are some things that cannot be done. And that is just a small unit, the smallest. Then we have the government, then we have the parliament. It's a big institution. The parties that make us come to this parliament. In my view, all of us are members, and all of us can serve in any capacity. But if you serve to represent a party, it is critical. Like, look at ODM. ODM as a party. You can say anything. You can use any word on us. You can demean us in any form. But we are so steadfast in how we do our business, how we support our things, that we don't have issues. We will have issues with other parties, but within ODM, we are so steadfast and behind our leader. And I think that is why we are the longest serving party in Kenya and the biggest party in Kenya as far as this dispensation is concerned. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my brothers and sisters that I cannot sit here and say that I am a member, but I can't obey. I can't obey our own rules. So before we point so many things, Mr. Kangata, I don't have any problem with Mr. Kangata. And a few times, I think he made, Senator Kangata, I think sometimes he made some statements that to me were just off. And you wondered which side of the house he was, whether he was acting for his party, acting for himself. And to me, I had a problem with that. And I'm allowed to speak to speak my mind, because that's what I observed. And I don't think he was serving the party in the best way possible. So if the party has decided that they replace him, that is not a discussion for us in this house. The speaker has made a ruling, let it to be, and we move forward. That is the problem of Jubilee. They can do it. Senator Wetangula also is putting his house in order. So everybody's putting their house in order. I think even him, yes, of late there are people who have seen the door or planning or about to see the door. He's in the process. He may ask some of us, we show him the best way and the easiest way how to do it. Senator, you can consult some of us. We will help. So I want to thank Senator Wamatangi, the senator for Kiambu. He is equal to the task, and he's going to do his work. We believe that he's going to be fair. Those people, your side is already crying. They should not cry, because from where I sit, I know that you know your work and you will be very rational in the way you do things and look at debates. We don't want to be a house or a senior house, but the way we carry out ourselves, we should be able to disagree, even in our debates, but in a good way, in a proper manner. We should not be shouting at each other. I think we are letting ourselves down, and sometimes we let this country down. So as senators, I just want to urge you that even as we start this year, please let us think and know that we are representing Kenya. We are representing so many people, 47 million Kenyans. And wherever they are and watching us all the time, let us show that we are people of decorum and we can disagree, but in a manner that respects this house. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I congratulate Senator for Kiambu.
Okay, I'm only going to allow one. Senator Sakaja.
Mr. Speaker, I join colleagues in congratulating the new Majority Whip, Senator Wamatangi, for his election as the new Whip of Jubilee. And Mr. Speaker, I fully associate myself with the sentiments that other members have made with respect to political parties I thank Senator Kangata for the work he has done. Senator Kangata is a very jovial and well-intentioned man. And Mr. Speaker, I think for the short stint he has had, he's been able to really, try the best that he could have done in that position of majority. Mr. Speaker, I am not more experienced than more. Mr. Speaker, there are members around me who are, I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
They want me to be no,
Consult in low tones.
Mr. Speaker, what I was saying is that in the short stint that he has served, Senator Kangata has tried his best. We may not have agreed in his methods sometimes, but I think he's benefited from, being able to speak to every individual whenever we had issues where we didn't agree. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to encourage Senator Wamatangi to caucus. What we've seen in the past year and further is that what works in this house, because we're a small house, but persuasion, consultation, and respect will always trump kifua. It will always trump, intimidation, because people here, there are no children in this house. And so there are caucus rooms. Whenever there's an issue, and Senator Wamatangi, you remember, I was your chair of a party, bring people together. Party position is never the opinion of an individual. The party position will never be Wamatangi's opinion, or Senator Pogisho's opinion, or even the president's opinion. A party position in an established democracy is where you sit as members, discuss an issue, and once the issue has been discussed, then you have political responsibility to stick to what the majority have agreed or what the party has agreed on. And I think we would like to encourage, because we want to pledge to support the work that you're going to do. Finally, I think it's almost unfortunately poetic that the same words that Senator Kangata used in removing Senator Kihika are the same ones he was trying to use yesterday. Mr. Speaker, I consulted the Hansard, because he was asking for the charges, he was asking for what was the reason of his removal. Mr. Speaker, if you look at our Hansard on the 22nd of May, Senator Kangata said that, Mr. Speaker, Professor Kindiki told me he would want a written document from the party. However, to me, that is neither here nor there. When the party was appointing or supporting him for that position, he did not give him a letter. Jubilee Party did not frame any reason as to why they gave him that position. It was an issue of confidence. So, Mr. Speaker, as we go ahead, and even in your position, Senator Wamatangi and Pogisho, be careful. What you do will be done to you. And things change. And when you make any rules or any moves, just assume that your worst enemy is in the position to do the same to you. So be gracious and be kind. So I hope Senator
Let's consult in low tones. Order, senators.
I hope Senator Pogisho has heard, because he's the one who told us about putting water on the head. Just be very careful, because you might be shaved. We hope not. We like your leadership, but be gentle, and never ever in politics, Mr. Speaker, the small politics I've done at my young age, never ever burn a bridge. Don't burn bridges. You might need to walk back in the path that you've come. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations, Senator Wamatangi. We will support you.
Senator Lokorio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to
Order behind there. Consult in low tones. I hope it's not the caucus you are talking about. Yes, Senator Lokorio.
Thank you. I also want to join my colleagues in congratulating Senator Wamatangi on his new election or appointment as the majority whip. Having congratulated him, I would also like to thank Senator Kangata for the time he has served as majority whip. He did his best in the short time, whipped members to pass government agenda in this house, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. Mr. Speaker, I want to comment something on what people have been saying about owners of political parties. In the law, in the law, which is the Political Parties Act, and even in the Constitution, political parties belong to members. And that is why there was that provision for political party funding, so that parties don't belong to individuals. However, Mr. Speaker, whereas the law had indicated that parties to meet the threshold for funding need at least 2%.
Let's consult in law order, senators. Let's consult in law tones. Yeah, okay.
Need at least 22% of the vote, 5 MPs, and at least or 20 MCAs. These same members of parliament changed that law, and it was during when it was Jubilee, TNA and URP. They changed this law and made it impossible for other parties to be funded. Changed the law, moved it from 2% to 5%, from 5 MPs to 20 MPs, and from 20 MCAs to 40 MCAs. And they changed the law not just either or, but that you must have 5% and 20 MPs and 40 MCAs. So, Mr. Speaker, it became difficult for other political parties to get funding, and therefore to be true owners of the party to go to members. So even as we are here changing the electoral laws, and very soon we are going to make changes to electoral laws.
There's a lot of discussion, loud discussions, please.
Yeah, I'm winding up, Mr. Speaker. There's going to be a change of electoral laws or review of electoral laws in the coming days. Let us be careful as we make those changes, that some of those changes will come back to bite us. So let's make laws that are for everybody, even your worst enemy, because it will come back one day to bite us. And the change on political party funding law has come to bite some of you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Farhia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me opportunity to contribute to this issue, their communication. Mr. Speaker, I agree with everybody that we have to be nice to each other. Right now, we have so many bills that were returned from National Assembly, and we need everybody to pass those laws, because some of those laws are our own laws as individuals in this House. So unless we cooperate with each other, we might not have, the bill that you have worked so hard to ensure that it is done, it just goes down the drain for nothing. So I think party issues are party issues, but in terms of individuals, let's be human beings at the end of the day before anything else. And then the other thing, Mr. Speaker, is it is natural that if somebody trusted you with a responsibility, make sure at least you provide, you provide enough loyalty for that person because they have trusted you first. Then you have to return that trust back to that person. That is just common sense. It doesn't need any law or any other ideas. Mr. Speaker, and of late, we've been having a lot of political rhetoric in this country. Mr. Speaker, people talk, citizens listen to leaders. We have to be very careful how we address our citizens, Mr. Speaker. Today, you might have, a goal to ensure that you achieve certain political leverage. But at the end of the day, if you are fighting to be the president in 2022, think if you will have still a country in 2022. I think that is a priority that everybody needs to think. And we need to think also, Mr. Speaker, that some of us don't have any other country to go to. We all belong to this country. And at all costs, we must protect this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let us not let down our citizens who have entrusted us with position, on whose platform you can say all the bad things that you always say because they entrusted you. Please return that trust so that you are in a position to speak about the good things. Because at the end of the day, we are all Kenyans. Nobody is more Kenyan than the other. And at the end of the day, in 2022, Kenyans are intelligent enough to elect their choice, depending on what you say, Mr. Speaker. So for me, the biggest battle in this country that will make a difference to the lives of the poor and everyone, including me and you, Mr. Speaker, is to fight corruption. Because that is the thing that drains the coffers of this country, Mr. Speaker. And that, therefore, take services to the poor and as well as money in their pocket, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to congratulate Senator Wamatangi for a well-deserved win. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, Senator Wamatangi is a diplomat. Even the way he engages you, he's very diplomatic in terms of how he handles his issues. Mr. Speaker, other than the revenue, but the rest of it is very diplomatic. So I have no doubt in my mind that he will bring cohesion, and I'm glad that I will be serving with him as his deputy, so I am sure things will move in this house. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, order senators. Let me give this opportunity to Senator Kimani Wamatangi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on such an occasion, first I want to confess that I had not prepared an acceptance speech. But, Mr. Speaker, be that as it may, first I want to take the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to thank all the senators. First, for all the goodwill messages that have been conveyed here by members of the Senate from both sides, Mr. Speaker, in the words that they've uttered this afternoon. I also want to thank, Mr. Speaker, the senators who, with me yesterday in our discussions in our PG, also showed their confidence, Mr. Speaker, that I can serve alongside with them. I want to confirm to members of this House, Mr. Speaker, that I am under no illusion at all that the job that I've been asked to do for the Senate, Mr. Speaker, is not an easy one. Mr. Speaker, though it is not easy, I have also clarity of mind on what I need to do and what I don't need to do. And I would want to draw that from the experience I've had, Mr. Speaker, from the year 2013, when I was first elected to be a sitting senator in this House. And Mr. Speaker, it is my belief, firmly, that for any feather that is added to your hat, it should only make you a better person and bring out the best version of yourself. And in so doing, Mr. Speaker, I realize fully that in the course of my work, building consensus with members of the Senate, finding agreement all the time, and ensuring that we walk the journey together is the best way forward for us to be able to prosecute our business, Mr. Speaker. I want to confirm and assure my colleagues, like Senator Murkomen, I don't know whether he's still in the House. Mr. Speaker, Senator Murkomen is indeed, as he said, my son. I gave him a wife, so I sat in the place of his father-in-law. And it is not in the place of a father to hurt a son. So wherever he is, I want to be rest assured that I will be modest. Mr. Speaker, because I don't want to make this a lengthy speech, I just want to summarize by assuring members of the Senate from both sides of the House that I will seek to build consensus all the time, consult with my colleagues. And Mr. Speaker, I am fully aware that this House that we have been in since that time requires not only to project a better and its best image, Mr. Speaker, but we have to ensure that we earn the respect of the country, Mr. Speaker, and ensure that what we say, what we do, will bring out that picture. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I also understand what the role of the whip is, Mr. Speaker. It is not to divide people. It is not to rejoice in the suffering of other members, Mr. Speaker. It is to ensure that this House passes laws that are good for the country, Mr. Speaker. It is to ensure that this House amends laws which require amendment to become better laws, Mr. Speaker. and to reject laws that are not good for the country, while doing that together as one, Mr. Speaker. And so that is what I will seek to do. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank you, and I'm sure that in my new role, as we work together in leadership, and the rest of the leadership of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, that we shall eventually come out better people. I will not be carrying my name tag in my pocket, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. I'll hang it on the wall, but the wall of my heart, to ensure that the day when I exit that position, that people can only say that I did my best and did well. To my friend Senator Wetangula, I hear you, and I hear your advice. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure Senator Wetangula that maybe any one time when he may have seen that I was acting as though I'm electrocuted, or being electrocuted. Sometimes it's the fervor, it is the fire that burns inside you, because as Abraham Lincoln said many years ago, Mr. Speaker, it is our belief that a government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish on earth. And so every time when you saw that I was agitated about something about government, it's because I believe it's about the people. That's how we are going to move Senator Wetangula. And I want to assure you that you can expect from me that I'll be not only fair, but right, Mr. Speaker. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to accept and thank all the members of this House. I'll do my best to make sure that we have got a Senate that is respected, Mr. Speaker, that passes good laws, and Mr. Speaker, one that is more united than when we came in. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, honorable senators. A few requests were made to the Speaker, and the documents that were presented to me are not confidential. These documents that can be seen. So they will be available for those who want to see. As you know, the Speaker does not belong to any political party. I only convey what have been given by the leaders of the various political parties. Whether they held meetings or not, that is not my business. My business is I trust that what I'm brought by the leadership is a true record of what exactly happened. So thank you for your contributions, and next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Leader.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 10th December 2020. Number 1, biannual report of the Commission on Administrative Justice for the period January to June 2020. Number 2, annual report of the National Gender and Equality Commission for the year 2018-2019. Number 3, report of the Council of Governors statutory report for the year 2019-2020. Number 4, report of the National Government Budget Implementation Review for the first quarters for the financial year 2020-21. 5, report of the County Government's Budget Implementation Review for the financial year 2020-21. 6, special report of Auditor General on utilization of the COVID-19 funds by the county government. 7, special report of the Auditor General on financial operations of the Bomet County Executive for the financial year 2015-2016. 8, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Turkana for the year ended 30th June 2019. 9, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Executive of Turkana for the year ended 30th June 2019. 10, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Migori County Assembly for the year ended 30th June 2019. 11, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of Migori County Executive for the year ended 30th June 2019. 12, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Kisumu for the year ended 30th June 2019. 13, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Executive of Kisumu for the year ended 30th June 2019. 14, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Wajir for the year ended 30th June 2019. And finally, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of Wajir County Executive for the year ended 30th June 2019. I thank you, Mr.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Senator Milgo. Your mic is off.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This was a motion on establishment of daycare centers in the counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, this motion was going on the premise that researchers, which is it? I've already given a notice to this one.
Give a notice of motion. Huh? Let's.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm giving notice of the motion on development of daycare policy in the counties and Department of Basic Education. That aware that Constitution of Kenya, Article 53, affirms that children have basic rights, including the right to education, nutrition, shelter, healthcare, and parental care, provisions that are aligned with those cited in both the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the Africa Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, to which Kenya is a signatory. Concerned that the current status of daycare facilities in the country are not child-friendly or habitable, and there is need to bridge this gap to capture the playgroup class in the new 26333 curriculum that is replacing the 2-year-old 844 system. Acknowledging that most working parents lack quality daycare facilities, as the playgroup is a safe place for them to take their children while they are at work. Now, therefore, the Senate urges that the Council of Governors, in conjunction with the Ministry of Education, ensure that 1, counties allocate at least 10% of their budget on early childhood development education, ECDE, towards the vulnerable group, and 2, policies developed to incorporate the needs of children who are less than 3 years of age. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kasanga. Seemingly she's not in. Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Senator Dr. Mbito.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 47-1 to make a statement on an issue of topical concern, namely the need to check the quality of salt in the market. Mr. Speaker, sir, Kenya is one of the countries where people are unknowingly consuming some good amount of microplastics in table salt, according to a study. This is worrying given the widespread and high consumption of salt locally, and considering that the WHO recommends a daily consumption of at least 5 grams by adults. Mr. Speaker, sir, the study by the University of Queensland, Australia, and the Federal University of Technology, Nigeria, further shows that also affected could be seafood, which still finds its way to our tables. While this is the first time a study is confirming the presence of plastic in table salt used in Kenya, it should come as an eye-opener on how we should dispose plastics and also take care of the environment. Mr. Speaker, sir, indiscriminate use of plastic, haphazard disposal, and dangers these pose prompted the government to impose a ban on single-use plastics in 2017. We are not out of the woods yet, and everyone has a part to play. While the ban has been largely effective, some plastics still find its way into the market due to laxity by law enforcers. Mr. Speaker, sir, the alarming development with an estimated 8 million tons of plastic ending up in the oceans globally is most likely that some of it will contaminate the salt when it is harvested. The presence of plastic in salt can either cause physical damage to the body or result in chemical poisoning. Mr. Speaker, sir, the National Environmental Management Authority and the Kenya Bureau of Standards should fight this threat by executing their duties diligently to ensure that Kenyans are safe. They are the bulwark against environmental degradation and poisonous substances getting into our tables. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I don't see any interest. Senator Uta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 47-1 to make a statement on the ongoing demolition of properties and evictions in Kisumu County. Mr. Speaker, traders and families in Kisumu County have for the last 6 months gone through horrendous moments. This follows continuous and unplanned demolition of houses, places of worship, and businesses structured by the county government of Kisumu and Kenya Railways. The demolition has stretched from Koru, Muhuroni, Kibos, Kibuye, Juakali, Otonglo, and Lela in Kisumu West. Locals are really crying for their lost investment. The current county government, as I know, and I was one of them, was voted in the office to provide the environment for the business to thrive. But instead, they have gone wild on the people who have voted them, but destroying their livelihood without providing alternative. The people of Kisumu, Mr. Speaker, are not against development being initiated by the county or the national government. They are instead calling for structured dialogue towards the implementation of such projects, which will ultimately benefit them. There are, however, standard and guidelines on how to effect evictions. Both the Kisumu County government and Kenya Railways have failed to adhere to. The two entities failed to work on a resettlement action plan, and we would request that when they are destroying these houses and properties, they must follow the rules and regulations. Mr. Speaker, the right of members of the Nubian community, this is a community that has been living in Kisumu for many years, their rights were ignored as bulldozers one night descended on their houses in the middle of the night, leading to the loss of lives, livelihood, and property. As a consequence, they are undergoing untold suffering. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, that's why today I stand here to ask you, Mr. Speaker Shah, to commit this matter to the relevant committees, more than maybe one. What we have seen in the last 6 months or in the last few days is like the Kisumu County and the Kenya Railway, they're on the spree. Mr. Speaker, the livelihood of the innocent one, the small business people in Kisumu, they have suffered under the hands of the people who they elected to be their leaders. Today, we can count, Mr. Speaker, over 15,000 small businesses have got no place to do business in Kisumu because the county government, under the leadership of Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, have decided that they wanted to build Europe and ignore the plea of people during this difficult time of COVID. And we have seen the small businesses like Mama Mboga, they have got no place to go. But more so, they have gone to the places of worship, like the churches were brought down with no plans, and they do not even have funds. And of late, I've had calls from across this nation, from the Muslim community.
Senator, you need to conclude. You're now debating your statement.
Where they have really destroyed a mosque that has been there for over 60 years. And there's no any alternative. That's why, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, this is a matter of urgent, and we need you, Mr. Speaker, to form this committee to move on the ground as a matter of urgency and a national importance. And I thank you.
Senator Nyamunga.
Can I get, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity just to make a few comments on the statement that has been brought forward by my colleague, the Senator for Kisumu County. Mr. Speaker, nobody is in dispute the fact that Kisumu should be developed. Nobody is in dispute the development of Kisumu. That is the desire of everybody. I think not only people from that region, but all over this nation, because we want to be seen to be progressing. Nairobi has come a long way. Even in Nairobi, we used to have this the traders all over in the streets. But I remember during the time of Gakuo, he's the one who cleaned up Nairobi. But the way it was done, he was not bringing down buildings. The people who Gakuo fought to remove from the city, the CBD of Nairobi, were people who are coming and doing business in the city center, on the streets. But Mr. Speaker, the state in Kisumu is very unfortunate, because for years, these people had been given the opportunity to be where they were. What my problem is, Mr. Speaker, if the governor or the county government of Kisumu wants to clean Kisumu and to make it look like any other city in the world, it is okay. But what do you do with the people that have been there, who have been eating from their small businesses? The problem I have with that is the way it is being done. In fact, the most important thing that the county government should have done, first of all, to find a temporary place and place people and then move them step by step. You can decide to maybe move people from this house, from these chambers, do it properly and then move people back. But just waking up from nowhere, whether they were given a notice or not given, it is unfortunate, it's very unfair, and it is being done at the wrong time. When we were in Kisumu over the weekend, in fact, there was a lot of demolitions that were done, which is very unfortunate. In fact, I was even afraid to go and approach the people because they can even stone you. These are people who live hand to mouth. If they don't trade for a day, it means that day they can't eat. So such people, if you have to resettle them, you have to be careful how you do it. Nobody can just come in my domain and just throw me out. It is not good. It is not acceptable. The way it is being done is wrong. It is inhumane. And people must be treated properly. When governments are put in place, they are put in place to make their people better. They are put in place to improve the lives of their people. But you cannot put a government in place to come and destroy you. Then it means you don't need that government. So the government of Kisumu is doing the wrong thing. The way they are doing resettlement and demolition of structures. Yes, structures must be demolished, but the way they are doing it is wrong, it is inhumane, and something has to be done. If it is left like this for another 1 year, we still need Kisumu. We need, I understand we even have to do Afro-Cities. And with the Afro-Cities coming, Afri-Cities, that is a very big conference coming to Kisumu next year. Yes, the city must be done to those standards. What do you do with your people? If you become a president, do you throw your children out because they are dirty? They can't sit with you on that table. They cannot sit with you with other presidents. It's wrong. What we are doing for our people is very wrong. And I think this Senate should not sit like this and just wait for the people to suffer the way they are suffering. It is wrong. Fellow senators, we have been talking about it. We've been crying. People are crying out there. But nothing is being done, and demolition is going on, and people are suffering. And it is unfortunate also during this time of COVID, when our people are suffering so much. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to congratulate my senator for bringing this statement on the floor of this House.
Thank you, Senator Ali Abdullah Ibrahim.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the Senator for Kisumu for bringing the plight of his people, the problems to the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I saw what happened in Kisumu. Is it over the TV, and I was surprised and shocked. I think that was very bad. If it was the county government of Kisumu which did that, they don't deserve to be in that position. You don't harass the people who elected you to that level, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. The newbies here, they suffered here in Kibera. Where they were staying was just demolished like that. Now in Kisumu again, this is not fair. These people have been here for hundreds of years, and they are not even given proper citizens. They are not even proper citizens. They don't even have anything. They don't have IDs. The houses they were given by those areas they were given by the colonial government. Now you demolish. How do you demolish a mosque of 90 years old? This is very sad. It can even bring tensions within the communities unnecessarily. And these people are part and parcel of the Kisumu community. They have lived with them there in Nairobi. They have lived with them. They are part and parcel of the Luo, literally. And when you target a certain minority to that level, and I'm sure they are not the only ones who live there. There are people, other members of the Kisumu community who live with them. This is very sad. I wish to support the statement of the senator, and I hope this House takes action. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Haji Faria Ali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a building that is 90 years old is a heritage that Governor Anyang' Nyong'o should have protected in the first place. Not only is it a religious monument, but it is also a heritage for Kisumu County. So in my view, how I viewed Governor Anyang' Nyong'o is somebody with foresight. But on this one, he missed big time. Because the Nubian community are minority in Kisumu. And I'm sure because they are Muslim, they are also minority. So they are double minority. And for you to destroy a mosque that they have had for 90 years, surely that is telling these people that you don't even belong to this country, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm sorry, I keep on referring you to Mr. Speaker. And Madam Speaker, when development is being done, it should not be at the expense of other people's lives and livelihood, Madam Speaker. By the time you make people, I mean, these people are the same people who elected you as a governor of Kisumu. What kind of monster did they elect, Madam Speaker? What kind of monster did they elect? Because for me, Madam Speaker, This is somebody who is destroying the people who elected him. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank Senator of Kisumu, Senator Outa, for bringing this statement. If he had not brought this statement now, even us who belong to the Islamic faith, we would have thought, what is wrong with people of Kisumu? But now I am glad that the senator for Kisumu has categorically stated his position, and I respect you, sir, for that. And I also wish to thank Senator Nyamunga for also condemning that heinous act that this governor has committed. And Madam Speaker, this kind of action should not be allowed by any democracy or any person who feels humane enough. I actually saw a picture of a guy who is calling for prayers on top of the stones that have been demolished. So that shows you how faithful these people are. But you have destroyed the faith they placed in you, because they elected you as their governor. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
Senator Sakaja, are you on a point of order? What's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I was on a point of order, but Senator Faria has finished. I understand the passion and the pain, and I also condemn the demolitions which are not done in a humane way. But Madam Speaker, some words used are not parliamentary and need to be withdrawn. I heard, if I heard right, Senator Faria saying, what kind of a monster did the people of Kisumu elect? The word monster, referring to a governor as a monster, Madam Speaker, cannot be on the record of this House. It is not parliamentary, it is not right, despite what has been done. So I would ask that you rule that she withdraws that term. It cannot exist in our handset. In any case, Madam Speaker, conduct of a governor to discuss it needs a substantive motion according to our standing orders. So while we condemn the act and we condemn what has happened to the people, because even in Nairobi, some of these demolitions are very inhuman, and we have such statements, let us moderate the words that we use, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Faria, which monster were you referring to?
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank Senator Sakaja. I withdraw that word.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator Mbito. Michael Malinga, were you? Okay.
Madam Speaker, let me take this opportunity to support Senator Outa's statement and let the House know that this is not an